Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today started in commercial real estate in 2004 and founded his company in 2010. He develops retail properties across the country, totaling $120 million a year. Joshua Simon is the founder and CEO of Simon Commercial Real Estate. Joshua, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Well, thanks for having me this morning.
Yeah, I'm really excited to chat with you. So to kick things off, tell us about your real estate goals right now.
Well, right now, obviously trying to keep up with the $120 million of new projects every year. But long term, our goal is to continue to be a private sort of family office, owning and operating. Approximately, our goal is to get to $1 billion in assets.
Nice. And how far along are you right now to hitting that $1 billion mark?
Well, we've got a long way to go, but we're over. We've crossed the 100 million threshold. But
nice.
I would say about 95% of the projects we develop right now, we sell. So that number, we're developing 120 million, but that number, we're selling that pretty much every year. So
yeah, that's a pretty busy business. So what made you think of that $1 billion goal? Was it just an arbitrary big number?
Yeah. And there's something. Have you ever heard of a BHOG?
BHOG, no.
So it's a big, hairy, audacious goal.
Oh, okay.
And so, I think, instead of saying, hey, I want to own a certain number of square footage, a certain number of assets, I think it's much easier to just say, hey, the market value. And I think the $1 billion is a pretty cool mark.
Yeah, no, we share a similar goal with the big B for real estate. So that's awesome. And for you and your business, right now you're doing some pretty impressive volume, like with your annual development. What has allowed you to hit that mark already? Like, what's spurred that growth so far?
Well, that's a great question. I last week celebrated 15 years in commercial real estate. I started when I was in college. And so obviously started young and been able to build relationships, and I think that's been the key to our success, but taking those relationships and performing. I think at the end of the day, everything's about execution. And I think today's day and age, real estate's moving to a much more transparent type of business where in years past, it was much more opaque. You couldn't tell what people paid for things, what people sold things for. And I think that's the way the business is changing. And we've really adapted to that. And, we've been able to do 150 projects in just 8.5 years since I started the company.
Wow. And so when you started off, were you just a single guy, like working on your own, and you've begun building your team, or did you have a team right at the start?
No, didn't have a team. When I started 8.5 years ago, I had probably $30,000 or $40,000 to my name, and I had an idea and a dream and just started. I had my mom. She came in a couple days a week and would help me with little things. And to this day, she still works at our office full time as kind of running our accounting department. And we've slowly grown project by project. Obviously, the first year we did 1 or 2, then we kept doubling up. And then today, we should do about 40 to 50 projects this year.
Yeah, no, that's great. And lots of our viewers and listeners, they're at the spot where you were at when you first started. Maybe they're doing a couple projects or they have a couple properties. What sort of advice would you give somebody looking to start building up their team, and what impact did that team have on your growth?
Well, I would say the team is, the most important part. Our people that work, we have, I think, 27 employees as of today. It's like family. Many people have worked with us for years. Our in-house counsel has been my attorney for my entire real estate career back at my first job. And then now he's in-house here. I think it's just developing a really good culture, because one person can ruin your company, but one person can also take you to the next level. And I think just making sure you find the right people as you grow is so important.
Yeah. And so how do you maybe vet a potential new employee to your team? Like, are you looking for specific traits?
Yeah, no, there's definitely traits. Every job's a little different. I think, a big component of it is obviously their job skills, maybe why they weren't given a chance before, and what you can see on a resume is really tough to make decisions. So you have, we're hiring for a job right now. and we get hundreds of applicants each day. And so how do you efficiently move through those? Obviously, we get a lot of referrals, so that helps. But I think a big component that we rely on a lot, not to make a decision on a candidate, but to really see who they are, is we do the DISC and values assessments, which tell you what their personality is like, what's important to them. And that really helps to understand what type of person they are and how they might fit in with their team and within the culture as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. And for yourself, you're running a pretty sizable operation at this point. Do you have any routines or rituals that you follow, maybe daily or weekly?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I always tell people you can't have freedom without discipline, and I'm extremely disciplined. I get to the office between 4 and 4:20 every morning. Work for a couple hours. I leave and then go work out. And then I come back to the office and I do the same thing every morning. I do all my follow-ups for that day so that when I come back from, working out, I'm already ahead of everybody. And it feels good because you come to the office and you're ready to receive information and react to what's going on that day. And so I think that's really important is, the routine and just being so organized and just, with follow-ups and execution is extremely important.
Yeah. And for you, are you using, an app on your phone to keep you organized with the follow-up, or are you using like Salesforce?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we have a couple different products. One is we have a CRM manager built into our marketing software that's connected to contacts that I, put follow-ups in. And then, a big component is, we've found that, as a developer, there's not a lot of software and applications that can be used. So we created our own web-based application that manages follow-ups, to-dos. It has integration with Box and DocuSign and called Dealforce CRE. And so we have 3 full-time programmers in Eastern Europe coding for us, 2 people here that work on it. We've started licensing it to other developers. So we've really we filled a niche that we saw, to your point, hey, Salesforce wasn't going to do this for the development. So we went ahead and developed it ourselves.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. You'll have your tech company and then you'll have your real estate. That's great.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. And I'm always curious to know why people choose a certain niche that they're in. So you develop retail property. What led you to developing retail versus all the other types of real estate?
I think it was just what I fell into when I started. That's the company I worked for, was retail. And what I like about retail is, it's different than some of the other product types. Is retail, you do a lot. They're the most like Dollar General is one of our clients. They're doing 800 projects a year. You get to do a lot of repetitive business, where in a lot of the other categories, you might not do that volume of repetitive business, especially all over the country. And so retailers have to grow, right? That's their job, is they want to grow. A lot of the other segments, their growth plans are a little bit slower, or maybe it's much more regionalized compared to retail.
Yeah. So are you planning then to scale your business? Like, what's the next step for you to grow even more from where you're at now?
Well, yeah, we've got, we're taking the next big step, which was to, kind of hire a number 2, chief of staff, which is, a similar role to a chief operating officer. So we just hired somebody. She just started with us. So that can help organize, what we want to do. And our goal is to start buying more assets and becoming more of an asset management company to get to that billion-dollar goal, but not forget where we came from, which is development. And that, development creates the income and profit that can feed the purchases of assets. Since, I don't have any partners in our business. We have partners on some deals, but, I've been fortunate enough that we haven't had to give away equity on every deal.
Yeah. And so what changes do you think you have to make with how you think about real estate and think about your business to transition from that strictly development model to now I'm going to be managing some properties as well?
Yeah, I think, on the tenant side and selecting assets, it's, hey, what are the, understanding the tenants, financials, even on a deeper level, on locations, what replacement rents are looked at. It's pretty much the same stuff we're doing today. I think it's just maybe even a deeper level, and then managing those, those key metrics over time while we own the asset. And then it's just developing, better property management and asset management capacities internally. But I don't think it's that substantially different to what we do already.
Yeah. And talking about some deals, is there a keystone deal that stands out for you that made a big impact for you and your business?
Oh yeah, we've got 150
Yeah.
of them. I would say there was one interesting one that we did in a suburb of Phoenix, in Mesa, Arizona, and it was a former LA Fitness. It was vacant, been sitting vacant for many years. There was two small shop buildings which were out on the out parcels, retail that one did not have a tenant, and then the other one was full. And there seemed to be an opportunity to maybe create another outlot up on the street. And so that was something that, a lot of the groups couldn't figure out. And so we came in and purchased the asset. But when we knew there was another new fitness user to backfill the LA Fitness. But the user didn't have a lot of credit. It didn't really check the box where I felt comfortable owning it long term. However, there was a public REIT that was interested in it and was willing to do a forward takeout. So we were able to have it under contract to sell just the former LA Fitness with a new fitness user. Once they opened, this REIT was going to take us out and buy that LA Fitness. During our due diligence, or once we purchased it, we had to then parcel everything off because it was all one parcel. And so
Yeah.
we had a section off, the two little shops buildings. And then we went through a variance process with the city to create a new parking, basically allow us to have more parking spots. So that way we could create a new outlot out in front. So to create new value and unlock value that, maybe most buyers didn't even see.
Yeah. And why do you think you saw that potential and the other 100 eyeballs didn't even clue into that?
I don't know. I think it's, you got to pull. Our business is a game of information and a game of relation. It's a business of relationships. And so you have to look and analyze it from hundreds of angles. And I think it's just like looking at it that exact way and seeing those opportunities and then being able to execute it is the next, is the next big step. We had a great relationship with the tenant broker. We built a great relationship with the tenant, the seller's broker, with the REIT. We had a good relationship. So I think it's just, it's like a great chef. It's mixing all the ingredients to have a great meal.
Yeah. Actually, I like that analogy. That's a good one. And so, you said, the REIT was interested. Was that a previous, how did that relationship come about? Had you already worked with them before, or was it just out of the blue?
We had not completed a deal with them before, but we had talked to them. We knew a lot of
Oh,
their,
okay.
key people. We understood what they were looking for. And so I think so much of our business is just checking in with each other,
Yeah.
whether it's, hey, congrats on that deal, or I saw this, or what are you looking to buy? What are you looking to lease? That information and being able to pull it from different sources and then use it effectively is just so key.
Yeah. So, let's put it this way. So we have lots of viewers and listeners who are always looking for deals, they're sourcing deals, but maybe they're not seeing the opportunities that are out there in front of them. What sort of tips would you give them to maybe look at a deal creatively, where so they don't have like the blinders on?
I think it starts with mentorship, right?
Yeah.
A big component of my success, I think, has been, just being in different groups, whether it was, Entrepreneurs Organization for a long time. And then now I'm in YPO, which is Young Presidents Organization. And then, meeting with mentors. And
Yeah.
so, I still to this day meet with my mentors that have been mentoring me for years, have lunch once a month. You can talk about a deal. Hey, what do you think here? And then all of a sudden they start telling you deal stories, or, hey, I look at it this way. And so I think it's just getting out there and surround yourself with smarter people than you are
Yeah.
is just so important.
Yeah. And, when you're looking for a mentor, what sort of like, how would you approach a potential mentor? Because that's a question I get all the time when people send me messages, in the inbox. Hey, I'm looking for a mentor. How do I find one?
Well, I think it's a lot of organizations offer mentorship like programs. Like on EO they have a program where they'll try to match you. Not everyone has that luxury. And so I think, is there a few people in your market that you look up to, and pick up the phone, write them a note, Yeah, you can do an email, but we get hundreds of emails every day, right? So how are you going to stand out? What is it that, makes you, want to be with them? Hey, so I would write something out and send them a letter,
Yeah.
make a phone call. And then, the onus is on you to set up the meeting, follow up, come prepared. I can't tell you how many times somebody says, hey, I want to mentor with you. And then, they do once and then they don't follow up. And,
Yeah.
like we were talking about earlier, everything is about execution. And that's, where we've been successful is execution. Still to this day, my mentor, one of them is in multifamily. So we're in totally different businesses, but we have lunch at like 8 to 9 times a year. And I follow up and set it every single time. And it's been 3 years because the relationship, it's on me to set that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you found it beneficial to have a mentor maybe in a different type of asset class to get that different perspective?
100%.
Yeah.
I think is hugely important because, if somebody's your direct competitor, I think they may not open up as much. Whereas somebody's doing something different, you get a different perspective. And I think that there'd be much more engaging to see what they can do to help you understand, if you're in a situation or you have a concern or you're trying to, decide on what actions to take.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. So for yourself with real estate, how has real estate changed your life so far?
Real it's my passion. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a little kid, and I've always been fascinated with construction. So I feel like I got the best of both worlds because I get to sit, when it's 120 degrees in Arizona, I get to sit in an air conditioned office and still build stuff, which is pretty nice instead of being out in the field. And it's given me autonomy. And, I think autonomy is just the ability to do kind of what you want, where you want, and, create opportunities that I want to. I'm able to spend quite a bit of time in Colorado in the summer, working remote. It just gives me a lifestyle that I don't think I could ever have in a different business.
Yeah.
So it's been very exciting.
Yeah, and the thing I took out of that was you talked about lifestyle, autonomy, that the monetary aspect didn't really factor into that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're just doing something to make money, I think you're in the wrong business. Look, I think anybody that's, real estate's a great business, and I've been fortunate enough to do well. But I do my job because I love helping others. I love creating the opportunity. I love my team and being able to provide to them so they can provide for their families. The money's great. And yes, obviously it's a very important part. But if I was just driven by it, I would not be successful.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And looking forward, let's say 5 years from now, how do you think your business will have changed in 5 years?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, a lot of it depends on the market and where we're at, but I think we're very adaptive, and I think we'll continue to, grow on the development side, but not, doing 40 to 50 projects a year is a lot. And, I don't think we need to do terribly more than that, but we'd love to create a apparatus to buy assets and manage those and unlock new value, like the deal I talked about earlier. How do we go do that, 50 more times?
Yeah.
And then, who knows what other opportunities there are, charity, philanthropy. And then also, probably in 5 years, I probably will be, hopefully married and then have kids. And, that's going to be a new stage in my life that, obviously I'm, maybe not going to be at the office every day at 4 a.m., but maybe I'll want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Depending on the day.
Yeah. I'll send you some interviews with like the 60-year-old guys I've interviewed, and they're at the office all day long.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So Joshua, if somebody's looking to get in touch and learn more about what you're doing, or maybe find out some more information, where can they find you?
They can find us, all of our contact information, all of our projects, simoncre.com, and it has all my contact information on our website.
That's great. Well, Joshua, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time today and sharing your success with us.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure was mine. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well in your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.